her from The Apprentice. She's Donald Trump's right-hand person. Cnnf joins us today to tell us about her new book and how to climb that corporate ladder. Our next guest has never heard "you're fired" from Donald Trump, just the opposite. She was hired by the Donald about 10 years ago. Cnnf, Chief Operating Officer of Trump National Golf Clubs, joins us this morning to talk about her new book, Carolyn 101, Business Lessons from the Apprentice's Straight Shooter. And of course, she's also joining us. We've got to talk about The Apprentice and talk about the Donald, but welcome to the show. So many things to talk about, Carolyn. So why don't you start by telling us how you came to be hired by Donald Trump?
Well, I guess it was about 10 years ago. I worked for a management company, and I was hired by a bank to come in and take over a piece of property, get it ready for resale, and get it in operation for a prospective buyer to come in and hopefully purchase the property. Not too long afterwards, Donald Trump was one of the prospective buyers, and we inevitably sold the property to him. And he asked me to stay on after we closed.
Did he tell you what it was about you or what it was about this deal that impressed him so much?
Well, we had, I guess you call it the pitch meeting, where my company came in and gave him the pitch as to why he should purchase the property. And I was responsible for that pitch, and I think I impressed him. I think I can honestly say I think I impressed him.
What are some of the things that you have learned from Donald Trump that you could share with other people who don't have an opportunity to either be apprentice and certainly not to have your job?
No, I'm very lucky. I consider myself very lucky to be learning under him. One thing I can honestly say, I have learned to be indecisive. I like to make decisions. I make them quick. I stand behind them, and if I'm wrong, I put my hands up in the air and I say I was wrong. Let's just change it and move on and admit to it and go on. I think that's probably what I find his biggest strength.
Watching The Apprentice the first season and then meeting you now and talking to you, the demeanor between you here and the demeanor between you on the show are quite different. True. And I think that on the show you come across as sort of like severe. I've made up my mind, I'm clear, I know exactly what is cool and what's not cool, yeah. and I'll let you know it. Whereas you're sitting here talking, you're like, I have 2 kids and it's great,
well,
I love
it. Cool.
So, yeah. So how do you balance that between having this great job where you're the decisive businesswoman and being at home, being mommy?
Well, it's very easy, and the American people see me in a boardroom setting, and that's business, and that's my element. So I'm not an actor or actress. I just go in there and I do my business thing, and then when I leave the boardroom or I leave the office, I go home and I see my 2 little ones and my husband, and there's I suppose the other side of Carolyn. But yeah, this is me. You put me in a boardroom, maybe I'll be a little different.
Or put her out on the golf course. I love the game of golf, and I was reading in this and I went, managing 2 properties, golf properties. The diversity in what you do is something else that I noticed, and I think from your book that may be a tip for people. They need to be diverse. They need to bring all of their assets to a job and kind of reinvent, restructure themselves.
Oh, absolutely, and I'm a big fan of being adaptable. That's one thing I probably learned most from this Apprentice show, actually, that people really need to be the same person that they are, go to work, do their business every day, but be able to adapt to different situations. I have 2 golf courses that I do run, which is in a male-dominant industry, which I've been told a number of times lately. And so, I mean, I have that, and I also I'm a mother of 2, and I do this Apprentice, and yeah, but I mean, I think I adapt to a different situation when I need to, and I think that's
children 2 and 4 years of age.
Can I just quickly remind our viewers, this is a great opportunity to give us a call. Cnnf's here. She works for the Donald. You've seen her on The Apprentice. 1-800-304-3638 if you have something you want to add to the mix.
You know, another thing that's of note here is talking about ways to be really successful in what you're doing. You talk about remaining a lady, having perseverance. What are some of your other tips?
Well, I guess that would be number 1, and I've always said, you know, always remain a lady, and I think that is true, obviously, with men, being gentlemen. No matter what you do, always remain a lady, meaning you can go into a boardroom and sometimes you want to whip your hair out. You want to jump over the boardroom table and just grab someone by the neck, or you just want to run into a ladies' room and cry. And, you know, no matter what it is, have that confidence level, carry yourself appropriately, be a professional. And I think it's probably the best advice I can give to most people is just remain a professional, do what you do, be yourself, and just, if you see something you want, just go after it as hard as you possibly can.
But I think you're hitting on an interesting point that I think is lost lots of times in our society. You're saying remain a lady, remain a gentleman. You're talking about something that does have to do with civility, with etiquette. And I think that frequently in our society where, you know, 4-letter words, we use them like we use, you know, any other word these days, somehow that seems to be lost. Do you think that's lost in the corporate world to a certain extent?
I think it is a little bit lost in the corporate world, and you're right, the 4-letter words, I mean, that certainly comes out, and that's just not That's not the way my approach. My approach is, and you know, do I go home sometimes at night and cry on my husband's shoulders at times because I had a bad day at work? You know, of course we do. But I think it's, instead of, you want to say always remain a lady, always remain a gentleman, just always remain a professional. And I think that's the best advice I can give to
Does the
young
Donald do
people out
that?
there.
Does he set that example, or is he a little saltier and a little rougher at
Well, he
times?
might be a little softer than myself.
I can imagine.
That's the boss's prerogative,
That's the
right?
boss's prerogative, I suppose.
First season, female contestants. A lot said there were some edgy moments. Tell us about that and what is happening with the current season.
Well, the first season, as we know, I called them out on using their sexuality too much. And sex sells. I'm not saying I'm blind to this. Of course it does. But I made a noise because after 4 continuous tasks, they were just using the same strategy for winning, and we wanted to see something else. If you look at the second season, the women dare not dress anything but business attire, so I compliment on that. But it is definitely a different group of women. The dynamics are much different. They have a very hard time, they seem to have a hard time getting along together, whether it be in the suite or in the boardroom. And what surprises me the most about these women is they're taking a little bit of their cattiness or the fact that they don't get along, and they're bringing it to work. They're bringing it to the boardroom. And if you ask any of the women, right then at the boardroom, you know, well, what's going on? They'll say, we don't get along. I mean, I would never go to Donald Trump's office and say, well, me and my employees, we're just not getting along.
You're supposed to fix it, right?
Fix it, and then come back and, you know, walk in with a smile on your face and tell me the world is okay.
They definitely seem to be taking a little bit cattier this time. We have a caller on the line for you, Carolyn. Bob in California, welcome to the show.
Good morning, and thank you. And this is from San Jose State. I think someone on that panel might know who I am.
Go Spartans, go Spartans.
My name is Bob, and I wanted to say, Carolyn, we're using you in mass media and journalism classes because we find that you're a great example of how women need to conduct themselves in all businesses. Could you address that concept? And we were just talking about caddy yesterday in journalism. That happens in our field. How about others?
I didn't catch the last part of that, I'm sorry.
It happens in journalism. How about in other fields?
In terms of people being catty.
Oh,
Which
yeah,
is a term only reserved for women.
Unfortunately. Yeah, but unfortunately true. And first of all, thank you very much for the compliment. And it is true, and we have seen some cattiness, and I hate very much to say, you know, the women are catty and the men are not, and the men get over things. We've seen it definitely take over in The Apprentice, especially this second season. And, you know, what kind of advice I could give to people who are catty is, you know, don't be catty. I mean, how do you prevent something? Just, you have to take those emotions and just put them aside and then just kind of get back to work and don't take it so personal. And as a matter of fact, I think the opening remarks on The Apprentice is it's just business, it's not personal. So separate the two if you can. Hopefully you can.
Well, I think one of your tips is take the time to get to know every one of your employees. Good leadership demands a healthy ego, but one that fuses well with the good of the group. I think it speaks to this, Carolyn.
I think so. I'm a big advocate of team, and I know that sounds very cliche, and I firmly believe that if we all win, we all win. If we all lose, we all lose.
So you got to be in it together. Well, Carolyn, thank you so much for joining us and talking about the show and the book, and good luck with that.
Thank you very much.
Carolyn Kepcher.